Welcome to another video of 60 goblins and one brush with a painting video how to paint Katakros very fast. Usually if you paint the center models, these generals like Gordrak or Durthu or whatever, it can take 10, 15 or 20 hours. So it's kind of daunting, and the result is that they remain gray. Remember, shelves of gray, and that's a pity. I looked at several professional painters, how they painted Katakros, and I came across some very beautiful ones. 4 of them were advertised on the Facebook page of Warhammer, and one of them caught my attention. It's kind of blackish, bluish, very gloomy, dark, and it's very interesting because it doesn't emphasize the bone character, it emphasizes the dark character of the death armies. I asked our 10-year-old daughter which style she preferred, and she chose the same, the blue, black and purple one. And I thought, that's great. Not only do we like it best, it could be the easiest to paint, or the one that is most probable to do in a speed painting job in about 1 hour. And thus I wanted to try it in the form of a video. Assembling the model took me about 1 hour. From here on we stopped the time. So first you spray it in Chaos Black. You can also prepare with Astrogranite Debris, you prepare the base around the model already, and then spray it in Chaos Black. That would be more intelligent. I did it the other way around, doesn't matter. Except Katakros's cape. Spray this one in Grey Seer. Afterwards you give the whole thing, except the cape, a light dusting in Mechanicus Standard Grey or Grey Seer. Very light, only a little bit, like snowflakes. And then afterwards another light dusting of Macragge Blue. This is one of the models you cannot assemble all of it at one time. I mean, you can, but it makes it much harder. If you do, at least do the cape and the bone thing on the back separate. The next thing, I wanted a slight variation. I didn't want it exactly how Pete Harrison did it. I wanted to build in this green I saw on the box, this ghostly green. I really liked it, and I decided to start with Sotek Green. Only for the cloth, for the cape and the standard. If you like, you can also paint some of the loincloths in Sotek Green as well. Later we highlighted with Sybarite Green. The spraying takes about 15 minutes, all layers, including drying time, that's quite fast, and then the painting in Sotek Green about 5 minutes, so we had 20 minutes. So now we take our large shade brush and glaze everything with Gulliman blue. You start with the figures. Do not glaze the weapons or any of the turquoise parts. The shield and everything. Just give it a glaze. Start with the models, with the figures, and afterwards the base, because once you're finished with the base, you can already start with the next step, because the glaze will be dry on the first pieces. Takes another 5 minutes to glaze it. So now everything is quite blue. Actually, just in case, I tried out how it looks if you glaze the turquoise as well. It actually looks quite nice, so you can do that. And it gives it more cohesion if everything is glazed. Okay, everything is too light now, you notice, but we'll get it darker soon enough. Also, something I did is, there's this guy who holds up a scroll for Katakros. I sprayed it Grey Seer, and now I glaze it in blue as well. So now everything is blue. Next thing, for the weapons, for the blades, you take any kind of metal color, for example Iron Warriors. It's a base color. Give the pot a good shake first. If you have agitator balls, steel balls inside, all the better. Any kind of medium-sized brush, a tiny little bit of water so you don't create streaks. Put it on your palette. Actually, like this gives you extra palettes, but otherwise you can make a wet palette for yourself as well. And then you paint the blades. You start with a big blade of Katakros himself, yeah, and then all the other blades that are exposed, and not too many here. This guy, for example, has a sword. If glazes and shades would dry faster, speed painting would be a lot quicker. So we do have to wait a little bit for the glaze to dry and then for the shade to dry and so on. But these are our main steps. So in the meantime, you can paint something else. Battle line troops, for example. So next step, we need Nuln oil. You can never have enough Nuln oil at home. I started glazing Katakros himself, so now I start shading Katakros himself. He's quite dry now, so I slobber on the Nuln oil everywhere, except the turquoise parts. No, this time really except the turquoise parts, because otherwise they get too dark. But do it as you like. Maybe it looks quite nice as well. Who knows? The nice thing is here you don't have to worry too much about the details. You can bring in more details later, as much as you like, as many as you like, but you don't have to, and it still looks great. So again, first the figures and the base at last. So I shaded everything now in black except the cape and the flag here, the metal of course as well. It's getting darker now. The cape I want to keep in a light color. You can see the blue of the glaze here now. We will change that anyway any moment now. And here the flag is also still a light color. Everything else is shaded with black. Even the scroll I put on a little bit of Nuln oil. Okay, next I mix a little bit of Sotek Green, Kabalite Green and Sybarite Green together with a dollop of water and start with some dry brushing and pulling on, emphasizing the lines and the corners of the cape and the flag. So I start with the flag here, painting the rim with a normal brush. This is no more like the color we saw on the Katakros box. Also the holes here don't have to be too neat because you're going to shade it anyway. Okay, like that. You see a little bit of difference here. Same on the back side. With very light strokes, you emphasize the whole thing, give it a bit more depth. You see here all the creases. Just hold the brush like this in a 90 degrees angle and then go over the creases like this. There will be like dry brushing. If you dry brush, make sure the brush is totally dry and there's only the tiniest amount of color left on it. Otherwise you have streaks all over the place. If you do it like that, the color has to be more liquid, and make sure that you touch only the raised parts. I'm actually surprised how cool that looks. First the Sotek Green, then the Gulliman blue glaze, and now the mixture of Sybarite Green, Kabalite Green and Sotek Green for the cape. Don't forget the shoulder parts on Katakros himself, here and here. And for the flag and for these two characters also, you can see here I added a little bit of Sybarite Green on the corners, a little bit more highlighting, and looks great with very little work. And also if you zoom in on the figures it already looks as if we would have dry brushed it already. Next two steps, the base is still a little bit too blue. So we do another shade of Nuln Oil on the parts that look too light colored. And we now shade the cape and the flag and the loincloths with a mixture of Drakenhof Nightshade and Coelia Greenshade. You could also use a contrast like Abaddon Green, but they're a little bit glossy, and we don't want that in this model. It doesn't matter if the cape gets a little bit darker now. You want it a little bit darker so that it doesn't take too much of the attention of the light purple that we put on next, and then we're almost done. So this is a nice, becoming a very nice color. And again, you can use a large shade brush, makes it much quicker. If you like, you can also color in the remaining capes that you haven't turquoised yet with this mixture of Coelia Greenshade and Drakenhof Nightshade to bring in a little bit of a hint of color. Then on the blade of Katakros's blade, which has been darkened by Nuln Oil as well, you can highlight again with the same metal color, a little bit lighter one, the front of the blade that is a little bit of a lighter color. I ran out of Abaddon Black, shamefully, so I will use Black Templar to do the rim of the base in black. Meanwhile, well, this is drying, and then we do the highlighting for the purple. We have another look where we want to get, what our aim is. So we need to highlight all the gems and some of the details on the flag and the shield in gray Seer, and then color it with purple. So we need a fine detail brush and gray Seer to color in all the gems and the details on the flag very carefully. All the raised parts need to be dry brushed or painted with a fine detail brush. This is the only tricky part of the whole process. Everything else is easy. You have here gems. There's a gem also on the top of the sword hilt. And then you have the runes, like here. There's a small obelisk with runes and also a small shield here at the breast part with runes. There you have to dilute the gray Seer a little bit with water so that it goes in deep. There are no raised parts, so we have to color the recesses. Here the example of the shield. Here the crow guy, you can paint the bottle a little bit, the rims of the bottle and the runes on top of his helmet. That guy, don't forget the runes here on the weapon. And here on the scroll, pour very diluted, the angle, my goodness, the pour very diluted gray Seer into the runes, and then dab it off, dry it off with a paper towel. With Katakros himself, don't forget the runes on his halberd. Here the stones on his helmet, his eye sockets if you like, or maybe these two plates here, and that's more or less in it. If you mess anything up, don't worry, we can fix it later. Now we let this dry and then we pink it up. So the next step is a little bit tricky again. You need, at least I thought so, Volupus pink and Magos purple, the two contrast colors, and a little bit of Genestealer purple and Xereus purple. You can also use Genestealer purple and Screamer pink. And then you color everything in. Everything that's highlighted now, everything that's gray here, will be a light purple then. Remember that the color is glowing, so it doesn't matter if you're not too neat with this. Only with the gray Seer you have to be super neat. Here doesn't matter because the glow will spread a little bit. Also, we're going to crisp it up later. The contrast color will seep into the recesses and still keep a little bit of color on top. Here with Katakros you see the gems, top, the eye sockets, the weapon. I told you before, don't use contrast colors because they're a little bit glossy. In this case it doesn't matter because we're going to shade it. Then the gloss will be gone, will vanish. Now you're going to dry brush or fine paint the very raised rims or the tip of the gems again with gray Seer. Like so. Can you see it? Yeah. So if you like, you could put some of the mix on this backbone alien thing on Katakros's back in the recesses. Almost last step is to use Druichi Violet as a shade. You can put it on and then it will give it more depth and it will take away the gloss and make it a little bit darker, except the raised parts that you painted again in gray Seer. This step is especially important for the runes, like on the scroll for example, or the runes anywhere on the helmets. Also you can do it for the flag, of course. If you like, you can take something like Kakophani Purple or again Genestealer Purple for the eyeballs of Katakros, if you can do this with a fine detail brush. And then just take some black or some dark blue and fix up if you messed up any small parts. If you got your fingers on somewhere, or if you missed something with a brush or painted too much, just fix it up. If you messed up the eyes, just let it dry and then put in some Druichi Violet or some Nuln Oil. And then you assemble everything. See you in a moment. If you like, before assembling you can dry brush this the floor of the base in dark blue. Same goes for any stony parts here on the base that you want to highlight a little bit, like the steps for example, or here, if you like. Not necessary. Could also paint the bony parts here in any bone color, but I think it would take away from the gloomy atmosphere. Afterwards you can fix things like incongruencies, like this thumb is of a lighter color than the rest of the hand, or here the parts where the folds of the cape joints. Just dry brush it on a little bit. If you decide that something is too light, you just add more Nuln Oil. If you decide that something is too black, you just dry brush a little bit with Kantor Blue. That's it. Afterwards you can add little highlights like edges or the candle flame here on the shoulder of the guy, so that's how it looks like in the end. I'll make a high quality picture as well so you can see more details, and make sure that you don't show it around before the parts are glued on. Okay, that's it guys and girls, thanks for watching. We didn't manage in 1 hour, but we managed in 1.5 hours to have a beautiful centerpiece general model in 90 minutes. Quite surprised myself. The only problem was the drying times of the shades and the glaze. You can definitely copy that. Have fun playing Ossiarch Bonereapers. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much to everyone who subscribed already. And leave your comments below and see you soon.